Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. I'm delighted that you've joined me. It's for December 14th. So first of all, to those who sent condolences and love and energy and light to me and my family over the passing of Tia, our little dog, thank you so much. As you know, we lost Skittles, her brother, about 8 months ago. And, you know, she's the last of the childhood pets, so it's a hard one, right? But we're getting through. And that is in no small measure to the energy that you very generously sent our way. Excuse me. Jean Lynn Tarot sent me a really lovely message and said that she was lighting a candle because she also had lost, I think, her pet's name was, I think, Artie. I'm sorry if I've remembered that wrong. And so she was lighting a candle for their, transition. And I joined her in lighting that candle. But I did add, there's so many of you have said, oh my goodness, I so understand because I just lost. And so when I lit my candle, I lit it for all of those who have suffered a loss. And, whether, frankly, that is animal or human. And who are grieving. And so the candle I lit was for the transition of all who are transitioning out. And extra love and light for those who are grieving. If you would like to join that, just please light a candle and send those good intentions out. I know the benefits of receiving that kind of focused and concentrated energy. I have, with great humility and gratitude, been blessed by that kind of energy that you have sent out to me several times over the last couple of years for various reasons. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you. For those who are looking for a private reading, maybe you want to see what's going to happen in 2022 or get a heads up on that. The information is in the description box below. So, people in those 6 states that have been absolutely devastated and destroyed by those crazy, wicked tornadoes this past weekend, sending love and support and energy their way for sure. So I saw somebody on television, I think this morning maybe, and she was asked, what does the states need to do in order to start protecting itself from these crazy, crazy storms? And it was really interesting. He didn't pause. He just said, you guys need to pass the Build Back Better Act. That's what you need to do. Because there's a cat right here, if you're wondering. Hi, buddy. Down you get. Because in that package is a lot of protections for the environment. And so, it's so interesting and kind of sadly ironic, frankly, that the states that most or certainly would benefit from Build Back Better passing, for the most part, probably has governors, senators, representatives, who are all in their own way pushing back against the Biden Build Back Better plan. It's sort of sad. Okay, so I want to take a look at a couple things. One, I want to take a look at Build Back Better because clearly Manchin is, making demands again because that's his little drug of choice these days. Let's just see how much I can demand and how much I can get away with. I want to take a look at Russia, China, and the United States, because there's stuff going on there. And I also want to take a look at Letitia James. God, I hope I got her last name right. She is going after, she's in New York, she's going after Trump and the Trump organization. And, she doesn't look like she's letting go. In fact, she just seems to be incrementally increasing the pressure. So I want to take a look at that. So let's start without any further delay. Let's take a look at Russia and China and the United States first and see if we can get just a little bit of a handle on what's going on there. Come on down. I have a question. Okay, one quick shuffle. Here we go. USA, Russia, China, USA, Russia, China, USA, Russia, China. Just before I forget, because usually whenever I wear this ring, I get a comment, at least one, asking me what this is that I'm wearing because it reflects light. This is an amylite, and it reflects, I believe it is 5 or 6 primary colors, and they just sort of shimmer and shine based on the light. It is said that, this comes from the dinosaurs. I know southern Alberta has a rather large supply of it, but it really just seems to be in this area. I think it's Saskatchewan, and I think part of Manitoba maybe. No, part of Montana maybe. But anyways, that's what it is. It's amylite. So if you're wondering, Okay, here we go. See what we see. All right, well, so we've got the 3 of Swords, right? So we've got, broken hearts, a lot of emotions, a lot of sort of strong leaders trying to look strong, trying to get their point across, wanting things to go their way. I described it as a triangle, and maybe on the outside it is because you have sort of 3 significant powers that are in this sort of struggle. But one of the things that unfortunately the United States is going to have to kind of come to terms with is that while the vast majority of world leaders are absolutely delighted that Putin is in office, that Biden is in office, the country came perilously close. And in fact, as time goes on, you're actually discovering how much worse it actually was, how much more danger the democracy and the country were actually in, because of that guy's behavior and antics and what he was trying to push and accomplish. And, just a minor sort of insurrection, right? But one of the things that sort of countries are looking at is what the government is actually doing to ensure that it's not likely to happen again, because frankly, there has now been a template, right, created so that somebody else can come along and frankly create the same kind of insane chaos, okay? And so, this is an example, right? I think it was sometimes last week, the House passed a bill that was geared towards covering up some of those loopholes and building back more guidelines to strengthen a situation so that what you experienced for the last 5 years actually under Trump, can't be repeated. The House passed that, but nobody has any expectations that it's going to get past the Senate. So therefore, it just becomes another bill that sort of, frankly, goes nowhere. And countries are looking at that and they're saying, like, we're really glad that the ship has kind of righted itself, but we're not actually all that sure that the country can create enough balance, enough calmness and clarity so that this doesn't become another threat in 3 years from now, or in 7 years from now, or in 11 years from now. And so, particularly when you're dealing with Russia and China, because frankly, Russia just wants democracies destroyed. Okay, I mean, that is simply his agenda. And China wants to replace the United States as a superpower. And honestly, because that superpower is sort of walking around on crutches right now, it's vulnerable. Okay, and so it can anticipate this kind of attitude and pushback. Now, Russia is hell-bent and determined on re-annexing and taking back the Ukraine, and the United States and other sort of democracy countries are saying, no, 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 you can't do that. But that's sort of the energy and the dynamic that's going on right now. And so truly, there's a great, great deal of work that needs to be done, and it's going to be an uphill battle. Okay, this is not just going to be, well, the state says, and we're really frightened of the states, and so we're gonna. Okay, frankly, both Putin and Xi are far too clever to kind of be sucked into that. Hang on a second, please. Sorry about that. Thanks for allowing me to pause there. Okay, so, both of those gentlemen, dictators they are, but I'm afraid they're not stupid dictators. And, that can be seen clearly with how they manipulated and controlled, the previous guy, hell-bent and determined to destroy the states. So that's kind of the dynamic here. And like I say, the United States really wants to be in this strong position. They want to go back. They want to reclaim and regroup the power, the admiration, the et cetera, that they had. It's not going to be a finger snap. And because of that, Russia and China are more of an opinion of, let's just nod our heads and kind of go along. But meanwhile, I think that there's some shifty, shady stuff going on behind the scenes. Now, that doesn't mean that all is lost, because you've got justice coming in. But it does mean that, the United States just simply can't think that they can pick up where they left off, because in those 5 years, so much was done. And this is the thing, Biden's been in office for a year, and in many, many ways, Trump's power has not diminished as much as every other single president would have by this point. Okay, they leave office and they set their power down. He's not doing that. And so it's putting other world leaders in this sort of feeling a little bit like they're on a slippery slope or sliding on ice, because one's not sure exactly how much the United States is going to be able to do to bring this around. Now, it doesn't mean they can't do it. It just means it's going to take some work, because unfortunately, the one thing Trump did was it brought to the surface those things that maybe were in the shadows a little bit, right? Those situations where nobody had ever really tested the norms. Nobody had ever really pushed hard against those guardrails. And now it's not just the United States who understands that. The whole world understands that. So there's a lot of recovery work that needs to be done. And because the Senate is behaving the way the Senate is behaving, and Joe Manchin is being him, it's starting to create doubts about the effectiveness. And that's a sorry situation, because, you have a politician as president who has immense experience. And honestly, any other politician with less experience, I don't believe would have been able to get you as far as the country has come so far. But there is still, so I get, what I'm trying to say here is this. The United States needs to be very careful going forward that it doesn't sort of strut around going, no, 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 we're back. Because other countries, particularly Russia and China, are looking at you and kind of saying, maybe not so much. Maybe you only think you're coming back. Maybe you think we should just listen to you because, but we've discovered that we really don't have to. And so this is not going to be, kind of an easy situation to resolve. You've got the high priestess here. You've got justice. This is about, and the moon, frankly. It's talking about not believing that just because you said, as a country, this is the way it's going to be Russia, this is the way it's going to be China, that they're simply going to fall into line. That was lost. And it's going to take a while to regain that. It's a big job. It's just a really, really big job. And honestly, you're kind of dealing with forces that are cruel. You're dealing with leaders in two countries who treat their civilians like pawns. Their lives really don't have significant value because everything is looked at from the greater good or the greater whole. And so this is not going to be an easy thing. Do I think the United States is going to end up in war? No, I don't. But I also think that the United States is going to really have to be a little bit more humble and, frankly, be a little bit more strategic than they are right now. Yeah, it's just a lot of work to get this done. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't see anything really devastating or traumatic happening, but I definitely, it's not going to be a cakewalk. I mean, am I wrong? Do both of those countries not have nuclear power? Certainly Russia does. I'm not sure about China. But, they're forces to be reckoned with. And that has to be just frankly recognized and looked at. All right, let's take a look at Build Back Better. So I think Schumer wants it done by Christmas. And, I know that I have said I think we're looking at the end of December, early January, so that would certainly fall into line. And like I said, it's unfortunate that some of those places that really, really would benefit from it are pushing back against it because they don't have the right information. Oh, speaking of which, I also want to make this point. A lot of you have written to me either, in the comment section or privately and said, my blank, my mother, my parents, my sister, my best friend, have become, Trumpsters. They just believe what they're told, and it doesn't seem to matter what you say or do. They're not going to listen to you because you're not saying what they want to hear. You are not reinforcing their belief system. And, sometimes when we do readings, we might come across a little bit harshly about people who are politicians who are really gumming up the works here by their ridiculous behavior. But certainly, I can only speak for myself. But when I'm speaking about those people, I'm talking about the Matt Gaetzes and the oh, you know, the Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bobbitt and Gosar, I think is his name, like those people, they can get spoken about fairly harshly, frankly. But that is not to say that the brother, mother, sister gets painted with the same brush. Politicians, because they're politicians, because they should have some understanding of how this works, they are, frankly, subject to a higher standard, and they're not meeting that higher standard. So, you know, if I say something that seems to be a little bit harsh or negative, it's not personal to your personal families. It is a general statement about the politicians, the governments, plural, within the United States that are kind of allowing this sort of crazy insanity to continue. Okay, so just so you know that, because, you know, like I said, you just please remember that their politicians are simply being held to a higher standard simply because they're being held to a higher standard. They're the ones who ran and begged people to vote for them so they could be elected, so they could govern, so they could help their people, the constituents. Do they? Not so much. Certainly not so much since, you know, Trump put that great big R behind his name and became, you know, menace number one. All right. Let's take a look at Build Back Better. Come on down. The moon. Here we go. Build back better success. Build back better success. Build back better success. Here we go. All right. Well, the dark forces, and frankly, I'm including Manson and cinema in this, continue. Honestly, it's like they're sort of drunk on power. You know, they're just really enjoying kind of flexing their muscles here. And again, very sad that Manson lives in a state, or represents a state, that is, you know, not exactly abundantly prosperous. And his behavior, his actions are actually hurting the very people they should be helping and could be helping. And, you know, for all of the Dems and the independents in that state who are riled up against him and sort of letting him know his behavior is not acceptable, there is also that large percentage of people who aren't paying attention, and they're not even actually sure what the noise is about. Okay? And so, unfortunately, that then becomes taken or accepted as silence becomes approval. Even though the silence isn't approval, the silence is ignorance. And again, I don't say that to be insulting, but that's what it is. They're not paying attention. And if they are, they're being really, really ill-informed by, you know, the media that they listen to. But there is a lot of push to get the bill approved, to get the money out. And it is possible, honestly, that I don't, this sounds so far-fetched, even as I'm saying it. I'm literally saying to myself, yeah, I'm hearing you, but that just doesn't even make sense. But I'm actually wondering if there may not be some senators who end up actually, in some way sort of trying to support. I don't know that they would back fully, but it might be, I don't know, but it feels as if Republicans, particularly in those really damaged states, may be singing a slightly different tune. Okay, and again, whether that's a big enough tune to actually get it passed in the Senate, I don't know. Now, I've said over and over again that this bill is going to pass, and again, there's no reason to think it won't. It's just going to be a matter of what the bill is by the time it gets passed, and getting things moving. But you know what, look, there's really powerful positive cards around this. You have this sort of stumbling block right off the get-go, but the rest of the cards are really about things moving forward, the push, the power coming as forcefully as it needs to, and creating a situation where things are moving forward, and the money, the funds, the flow, the prosperity, the abundance is going to also move forward. So that would be the passage of the bill. There's still some work to be done at this moment, but it doesn't feel as if it's going to go on for a very, very long time. You've got the Fool showing up again, good heavens. And so there are, okay, just generally speaking, you're going to see more and more people, maybe not blatantly supporting, but more quietly not supporting some of the Republican attitudes. Okay, I don't know. There's still work to be done. I got to tell you, it looks like it's going to be really shaky for a while. People are going to start freaking out, but ultimately, it really does look as if there's going to be some success. It looks like Manson's going to get something, but he's not going to get everything he wants, and the money is going to be able to start flowing to the places that it needs to flow to in order to do some good. There is strength and power in the bill, and there you go. There's your Sun card. So this is the success of the bill. The bill is going to be able to move forward and pass. Again, I still feel late December, January. Okay, I don't know once they go on that winter Christmas break how long they're sort of not even in session or whatever that is, but definitely a feeling that things are going to kind of move along here. Okay, let's just some of these cards back, and let's take a look at the New York investigations against you-know-who and how he's doing. Apparently, if I remember and I heard correctly, I think one of the things that's going on is that there's this big push to get Trump to sit for depositions. And this is pertaining to not only, from what I understand, not only his company or companies, but him personally. So let's take a look and see what's going on there. I know some of you were like, my God, what is taking so long? And again, I've said this before, what's taking so long is this thing has to be bulletproof. It has to be flawless. When she comes at him with indictments, it needs to be bulletproof. And bulletproof takes time. Bulletproof is a lot of, dotting those I's and crossing those T's and proofreading and double checking and et cetera, et cetera. It's not you know, this is the thing. I know it's frustrating for everybody because it's like, how much longer is this going to take? But really, the bigger question is, can we get this done in such a way so that ultimately it is successful? You know, it's not about speed. It's about ensuring that the results end up being the results that are going to accomplish what needs to be accomplished to correct this situation. All right, here we go. And I know there are sort of two separate investigations going on. I know that there's criminal and there's civil, and honestly, in this moment, I don't have that clarity about what is what and who is who. Kind of been a rough few days. So I'm just going to do this very broadly, and Spirit knows what I'm asking about, and so they will simply ensure that I'm giving the information pertaining to those investigations that are going on with with Letitia and her department, and Trump organization, family, and Trump personally. Okay? Investigations, Trump indictments, investigation, Trump indictments, investigation, Trump indictments. Because really, that's what we're looking for, right? You want to see this guy get indicted. Okay. So, oh my. Okay. So here we have it. She is investigating the money. They just showed me a really, really interesting picture. And, you know, for those of you who have been here for a while and I describe my pictures, you understand that they're sometimes just a little interesting, but they get the point across. So I am literally seeing Letitia in front of an old-fashioned, you know, calculator, right? With the paper coming out the top. And this paper is wrapping itself around her body. It is so meticulous because her intention is to wrap the money information around Trump and his associates and his family. So she is going through the information. By she, of course, I mean her and her investigators, etc. But they're going through the information meticulously because this isn't about, you know, getting him in court. This is about bringing him down. Just bringing him down. I saw a quote the other day that said she is going to make it her life's work to make the rest of his life miserable. Can't falter for that. Okay, so that's what's going on kind of behind the scenes. There really is this intention that she's going to do what needs to be done, however long it takes, because it needs to be right. It needs to be done right. It needs to accomplish what she is setting out to accomplish. She is very good at keeping things quiet, keeping her emotions very, very controlled so that she can accomplish what she needs to accomplish. Hang on a sec. Okay. Very good at keeping things very close to the vest and keeping her emotions very, very contained. So nothing is leaking, nothing is spilling over. It is simply methodically doing what needs to be done. And it's interesting because it feels as if she continues to get more and more information. It's like the well has not gone dry in terms of what she is finding out. When this thing is said and done, okay, everybody is going to be, frankly, blown away by how meticulous, how comprehensive, how complete what she and her staff have been working on is. There's going to be nothing sort of left out or left behind. There's not going to be any stone that wasn't turned over and examined. And any bug like crawling out from under the stone, that bug also got dragged into this. Yeah, there is so much shenanigans that with money, and how money was paid out and how it was spent and how things were inflated or decreased depending on, I don't know, the day of the week or the intention. But it's a lot. There's a lot. It is her intention that Trump, whether that is the people, the organization, or some of their high officials, but everything that falls under the umbrella of Trump goes down. There is a level of corruption there that makes her crazy. It's interesting. It's like information just keeps coming out, coming through her. You know, they pull one thread and they find 3 more others, that kind of thing. This Queen of Pentacles is interesting. I'm not literally taking it as sort of female energy, but I'm definitely taking it as, you know, somebody higher in the organization who has not remained loyal to the family, and they're accessing, again, a lot of information about that. You know, people who work for Trump and always believe that, you know, they should have his back because he always would have theirs, have discovered that's not anywhere even kind of close to the reality. And so some of those like loyalists are quietly moving away. Because when it comes right down to it, you know, do they want to take the fall for this guy? Because in many ways, that's, you know, what they're trying to do. Yeah. Listen, he's coming down. And those tightly and closely connected with him are also going to have a very difficult time. And on the other hand, as far as justice goes, as far as the legal system goes, there is going to be successes for them. So all I can say at this point is it's still a bit of a waiting game, and that's okay. Because ultimately, you know, she has more tricks up her sleeve than he has ways of being rotten, being devious, you know, just dancing along. It's not even an edge sometimes that he crosses when it comes to legal, illegal. He just swings right over onto illegal, and, you know, but she has more than he is aware, and she has more than he, frankly, has any answers for. Just hang in there. It won't be too much longer. But it's gonna end for him. Okay. All right. So there we have it. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for being here. I'm going to, hopefully, if everything goes well, the reading on Friday of this week, I really want to take a look at kind of the United States for the next, I don't know, first 3 months of 2022 and see how the country's going, how things are going. And so we'll take a look at that and see what information or insights I can get. Thank you very, very much for being here, for the support, the light. All of it is so appreciated. I've also received some lovely, lovely donations lately, and I thank you, and I'm so humbled by them. But thank you very much for that. Until next time, take care. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.